Welcome back. Now it's time for Forum Daily's weekly market update with Catherine Murray, host of The Buck Stops Here. Take it away, Catherine.
Thanks, Julie. Hello, everyone, and welcome to your weekly market recap. I am Catherine Murray. Well, we are seeing significant weakness across the board. The Dow down by about 500 points and major indices down by 1 to 1.5%, with specific weakness within the Russell 2000, so the 2,000 small cap companies in the United States. Away from that, in terms of why we're seeing this weakness, the 2-year yield did move above that all-important 5% mark. So there's a big backup in rates. And that is following some very strong economic data today, leading investors to believe that the U.S. Federal Reserve will continue to raise rates, hike rates, and that is a concern for investors given the fact that they think there could be a policy mistake. In other words, we continue to raise rates too far, too aggressively, and that will tighten the economic conditions. Specifically, the ADP payroll numbers, private payroll that is, came in at 497,000 versus expectations of 250,000. We also had the ISM services coming in much better than expected, and in fact, continuing in the expansion mode. We have seen 6 months of straight expansions. Of course, you would think that is good news, and it is good news, but of course, the markets have been expecting that the U.S. Federal Reserve will in fact ease off that rate hike. But given the strong economic data, perhaps they won't. And of course, the markets have been pricing in that they will ease off. Having said that, of course, we've seen a significant rally in June. Year to date, we've got the Nasdaq up by about 32%, S&P 500 up by 16%, the best numbers we've seen since 1983. So perhaps today, you're just seeing a little bit of money being taken off the table, because of course, the bull case narrative continues to be a soft economic landing, and that we are in fact seeing inflation ease year over year. We saw that in the most recent results with CPI and PPI coming below expectations. In terms of stocks to watch, one I'm keeping my eye on is Facebook, or Meta as it has been renamed. They did actually launch a competitor to Twitter, sending that stock up by about 1%. So I think somewhat mixed commentary from the analyst community in terms of how can they and will they be able to compete against Twitter. We're also, of course, keeping our eyes on Exxon Mobil. They did take a $4 billion hit to their second quarter earnings on the back of lower natural gas prices, sending that stock down by about 3.5%. In terms of what to be watching in those U.S. markets, the jobs numbers will be coming out tomorrow. Expectation is for 225,000. June was 339,000, a huge beat versus expectations. So do keep in mind that we could see a bit of volatility tomorrow, just given the fact that perhaps the jobs picture is much stronger. And on the back of that, we will see the Fed continue to raise rates. And again, that might not be expected in the market or fully priced in. And also, as we look at the TSX, down by about 1.5% today, all sectors under pressure. Canadian dollar, very weak versus the U.S. dollar, in fact, a three-week low. We're also keeping our eyes on a couple of important headlines here in Canada. The BC port strike does continue. Canadian press is indicating that that's going to cost about $250,000 on a weekly basis in terms of an economic hit, and of course does hit consumers. And importantly as well, this is a very key time for the potash industry and being able to ship that overseas to the international markets and farmers overseas. So something to keep our eyes on. We're also watching the Canadian real estate markets continue to stabilize. Vancouver home sales and prices both increased. Toronto sales slowed, but prices increased, so perhaps some stability there. We're also watching Ontario planning a massive expansion of the Bruce Lake nuclear plant. When completed, it will be the largest in the world. Also, Canadian imports increased by about 3%, exports decreased by about 3%. And also here in Canada, we're going to be watching very closely the jobs picture tomorrow. Expectations are for a gain of 20,000 jobs, unemployment to tick higher to the tune of 5.3% in total. And of course, importantly, the results will give a bit of an indication in terms of what the Bank of Canada may or may not do on July 12th. That is their next meeting. Expectations are that they will raise rates by 25 basis points. And just one stock to perhaps keep your eye on today, Magna. That stock is up by about 3% following an upgrade over at Bank of America, BofA. Julie, I'll leave it there. Back to you.
Thanks for that, Catherine. There's a lot going on this week. And that was Catherine Murray with Forum Daily's weekly market update. For more financial coverage, tune in to Catherine Murray on The Buck Stops Here, which airs Sundays at 9 a.m. Eastern, only on the News Forum Network. All right, we have to go to break now, but stick around. When we return, we'll be covering today's top international headlines and news from around the world. So stay with us. Forum Daily will be right back.